He's a wicked blacksmith, given a second chance by St. Peter at the gates of heaven, but leads such a bad life that he ends up being doomed to wander the earth. The devil provides him with a single burning coal with which to warm himself. He then uses an empty gourd to carry that coal.
There you go, jackolantern.
Wait, well, we're going to talk about Stingy Jack.
Okay. So the devil didn't even want him.
Devil didn't want him. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mysterious Pals. My name is Chris, and I'm so thankful you're here today. And also, I want to welcome Jordan, who is also thankful for being here today.
I'm smiling a lot.
I heard you don't smile enough.
That's what I've been told.
Yeah, but you know what? You smile in our hearts. I don't know what that means, but welcome anyway. We are going to get started today with a great show. Jordan, how was your week?
It's good.
Good. And moving on to the episode, we don't want to stall out and people yell at us again. We are going to talk about something kind of weird, but we're going to start with a story.
I like weird. Weird's cool.
Yeah.
Weird's good.
And I'm going to take you on a journey this week. Our journey, this journey leads into our topic, but this is something that is dramatized. So I wrote
Dramatization?
Yes, but I wrote it based on the top part of the topic.
So did you write something?
As a way to get us in the mood. Get us into the mood. I like that smile you had right there. That was cute. All right.
That was a real one.
Yeah, a natural one. Anyway, I'm in control this week. We want to thank you for being here.
Thank you. And
I want to start us out right by taking you on a little walk.
Okay.
So what I want you to do is I want you to, all you listening or watching, if you're listening and driving or walking, do not close your eyes. But I want you to visualize this experience here.
Should I close my eyes?
And I'm gonna, you can do whatever you want. Just smile and close your eyes. Yeah. Okay.
What's happening?
So we're gonna go on this journey and just visualize this in head. Visualize what I'm saying to you in your brain. Don't close your eyes out there. Just be normal. Okay. So
close my eyes.
It is a warm, early October night in Garden, Arkansas.
I'm already there.
Yeah. A slight breeze blows gently through your hair.
Oh, my hair.
Over your head.
I'm already out of it.
As you and your pal are walking in the center of an old set of train tracks.
I like this.
That bitter smell of the old creosote-treated railroad ties in the warm iron cooling from a hot, late summer, early autumn day in the southern United States bites at your nose.
Just a titch.
Flanked to your right and left, a thick, tangled up forest that keeps the lights of the pale moon from penetrating, revealing the secrets within.
This is very detailed, Chris.
Sounds of the crickets and the occasional rustle of leaves, breaking of branches interrupt the otherwise calm night.
Do I hear a banjo in the distance?
Not yet.
Okay.
These typical nighttime sounds are only interrupted by the low rumble of a conversation between two pals, recounting the local legend that brought you out tonight.
This reminds me of us walking down the train tracks in college.
Yeah.
That was fun. Good times.
Back to the mood, all right?
All right, I ruined it.
Occasionally, you gently wave your hand in front of your face to shoo away those annoying buzzing insects that are only there to take a taste of your blood. Even though you can still taste that sour bite of the aerosol bug spray that you coated yourself with from head to toe, departing your car, but the bugs, they don't seem to mind. You both keep your gaze down, navigating each footfall squarely on the evenly spaced railroad ties, avoiding the alternating beds of white and gray limestone gravel that support the tracks. As you and your pal continually bring up the various Reddit posts, podcast episodes, poorly designed blogs, and various articles about the target of tonight's mission, you gently hop up on the railway, put your arms out straight from side to side, to balance while putting one foot in front of the other without both breaking stride or stumbling back down for fear of twisting your ankle. Yeah.
Nothing with that.
Just then, a loud branch snaps to your left. Startled, you both stop, swinging your view, searching for the source of the sound. Still silent, you try to get your view to focus in the darkness, but just then, an owl loudly hoos to your right, spinning to the right, finding nothing but the wall of tangled forest. After what feels like an hour, the fight or flight in you crashes back to reality. Still struggling to pay attention to every little second, your pal gives out a short chuckle, breaking the tension.
That's nice.
You look at him and laugh as well, but look left to check on the status of the first crash. Turning back to reassure your companion that all is clear. You notice, though, that his chuckle was short-lived, and his eyes are wide and fixed straight ahead down the tracks.
Oh, jeez.
Your heart starts to beat harder and feels as if it's beating in your throat. While still looking at his expression, your brain tells you that nothing good can come from looking to see what he is witnessing. Just then, your curiosity overtakes your fear. You turn to see the doom that he has hijacked your pal's focus. You slowly turn, but both your eyes strain to focus down the tracks. You can't breathe. Your brain is using every neural pathway to comprehend what your eyes are seeing. Time stops. Everything and anything your mind can do to figure out what is going on happens instantly. The world snaps back into action. You step backward, almost tripping. No way can it be possible. No way can all of these stories be true. And yet, just as reported, a light bouncing up and down as if someone is walking, but then also swinging right, left to right. Why is it green? Why is it blue? Just then you realize your surroundings, and your friend whispers, "This has to be someone with a flashlight or a lantern."
Right.
You respond, I don't know. Probably? Scene.
That was beautiful.
Yep.
Beautifully done, Chris.
This story is based on the legend of the Gourd Light.
Gourd Light.
While not the topic of our episode, according to the 1994 episode of Unsolved Mysteries and a book by Alan Brown,
Great show.
according to folklore, the light is a swinging lantern of a ghost brakeman accidentally beheaded by a passing train searching for his dismembered head. The light has been described as blue, green, white, or orange and appearing to have been bobbing to the movements of the brakeman searching for his head.
Okay.
Again, this episode is not about the Gourd Light, but rather what the folklore category of the Gourd Light would be part of.
Is Gurdon's, that's a brand of moisture, like hand lotion?
That's Jergens.
Jergens, okay. So.
Yeah. Gourd Light
No relation.
in Gourd, Arkansas. I don't think they make hand lotion in Arkansas.
Okay.
I don't know. Okay. So this episode, this little wild adventure we're going to go on, after I felt your heart full of fluttery butterflies, that was me.
I was there. You painted that picture.
We did walk on the tracks, and yeah. They our targets of our story stumbled on lights. We stumbled on some weird homeless camp, probably.
That was
and got tacos afterwards.
We hightailed it out of there, man. That was.
So we're going to talk about the will-o-the-wisp.
Oh, nice. I remember. Were they in? I know they were in Skyrim. Were they in Skyrim?
Probably.
Or The Witcher.
I think they're in a lot of things. They're definitely in The Witcher.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're European-based folklore.
Yeah.
But I'm actually surprised when researching this episode how they're more modern. They're kind of spread out only in European folklore in some cases, but also they're more modern than we think.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
In some cases, I don't, dates are weird. But anyway, the will-o-the-wisp is an atmospheric ghost light seen at night, especially over marshy or boggy ground. And that's important because it goes back to when people start actually figuring out what the hell this stuff is.
Yeah.
Marshes and bogs.
Moonbeams.
I've never heard moonbeams.
Or what
is that what they called you in high school?
Good old
Joey
moonbeams.
Yeah. It resembles a flickering lamp or lantern, often leading travelers astray. That's a big part of this. Leading travelers astray.
Good.
The ethereal lights are said to mislead people by drawing them away from their safe paths. These flickering lights are said to be resemble a lantern or a lamp. Okay, so they're, and you could also, in modern history, they're called orbs.
Okay. All right.
When we see videos, people are like, look at this orb.
Yeah.
Usually it's like, it's a bug, dude. It's the camera reflecting light off a bug. Anyway.
Swamp gas.
Swamp gas plays a big part of this. Throughout history, the will-o-the-wisp has been closely linked to the world of witchcraft and dark sorcery as well. Legends suggest that eerie lights were conjured by witches to deceive and ensnare unwary travelers. So like this story going back to like, what's that one where the kids go into the house with all the candy? Hansel and Gretel?
Yeah, Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah. It's a messed up story.
Yeah.
I read this to my children before and I was like, this is crazy.
Terrifying.
Some cultures believe that the spirit is an unbaptized child and someone who died a violent death.
Okay.
This is kind of common. People always think that whenever they think of scary crap. In much of European folklore, the will-o'-the-wisp are often associated with ghosts, fairies, or elemental spirits. However, in America, the will-o'-the-wisp have been seen as extraterrestrial rather than mystical.
All right.
So, also because it's more modern,
yeah.
we kind of have some of the folklore here, but it's always seen. Also, it could be probably brought over from Europe. Yeah. So we're going to go over the names and variations throughout the world. There's not a lot of them, but it mostly is Europe, specifically Western Europe. We'll go over it. But I think it's interesting that the idea of a will-o'-the-wisp, there is a guy named Will.
Oh, really?
Some of the stories talk about this guy named Will.
I was curious about that. Like, how did they come up with that name?
Yeah. So I thought it was like the will of something.
Yeah. Right.
But anyway, so we'll go over it. So we're going to talk about the different variations and names throughout the world. The first account of the will-o'-the-wisp goes back to the 14th century when a Welsh poet, and this name is insane, and I'm sorry for the Welsh people, as someone who's 40% Welsh.
Well, they have like their own language, man. It's nuts.
So his name is Dafydd ap Gwynlym.
Sounds good to me.
It's Dafydd is how you spell the first. And then Apgwilym. And apparently he was a pretty well-known historian and poet.
Okay. Did he write Willow?
Will-o'-the-wisp?
Is that where that comes from?
I think that was the guy who made the Star Wars.
Yeah, it was Ron. Yeah, that's right. It was, yeah.
Did you say Ron Perlman?
I'll say Ron Howard had something to do with it.
Is he the guy from Happy Days?
Yeah. But no, I think, it was George Lucas, I think, who wrote that.
I don't know.
Someone's guy who directed it. One of those.
Okay.
What if it's just like someone with a laser pointer? Like a really...
In the 14th century?
Yeah, really...
Aliens with laser pointers, yeah.
Like, hey, come over here.
Yeah, like a cat.
Yeah.
Did you hear that they made a new series of Willow?
Yeah, I didn't watch it.
But like I heard it got canceled, but also I think it got pulled offline. Like it was so bad that people you can't watch it anymore. Yeah, apparently it's not on Disney Plus.
They did that with something else too. I think they did it with Westworld. They just took Westworld off. They're like, you can't watch it anymore.
Really?
Yeah, I think
off Max or whatever.
I think so. Yeah, I could be wrong.
HBO's a mess. This place is a mess. Anyway, the term will-o'-the-wisp comes from a combination of two elements, and this again, there's like a lot of weird stuff about this. Originally, wisp referred to a bundle of sticks or paper used as a torch.
Okay.
Carrying it around, It dates back to the 1400s and meant it as a twisted bundle of straw or light twigs. So it's a torch. Okay. A will, though, the name will, meaning will of the torch, the term jack-o'-lantern, Jack of the Lantern, originally referred to the will-o'-the-wisp. So jack-o'-lantern and will-o'-the-wisp are that's where this kind of folklore comes from. Okay, so the other word you'll hear sometimes when you look at this or research this is ignis fatuus. It's Latin. Mm. And what's funny about this, you're going to love this. Come along. It's composed of ignis, meaning fire, and fatuus, F-A-T-U-U-S, as an adjective meaning foolish, silly, or simple. Okay, so silly flame or foolish fire, or also giddy flame.
Giddy flame.
Yep. Despite its Latin origins, the term ignis fatuus is not in antiquity, and the name for the will-o'-the-wisp used by ancient Romans is uncertain if they even ever used it. So Latin, there wasn't originally, it wasn't like this thing from old Latin, and it was just kind of, and this is funny, the term is not used in any research for the Middle Ages, so they don't find it in Middle Age research.
I figure it would have been. For some reason, like fantasy.
Because
fantasy
they use
stuff.
because they're using the word. Is it a Latin word?
Okay.
It's coined, however, what researchers found it's coined by a German person, humanist they call him, appears to be a free translation of the long existing German name Irrlicht, which is wandering light or deceiving light, conceived of in German folklore as a mischievous spirit of nature. The Latin translation was made to lend the German name intellectual credibility.
Okay.
So it really isn't as old as like they say. They don't think it's as old as like Middle Ages.
Yeah, I thought it would definitely have been from the Middle Ages, just because like Skyrim and with The Witcher, I'm just all basing it off of. But
yeah, they
there's,
programmed
like,
us back in the Middle Ages. Yeah,
there's fantasy that
yeah,
like, pull a lot of stuff.
It seems like I think it's just like
Middle Ages.
One of those things where someone made it look older than it. I don't know, or it was put in stories. Anyway, this phenomenon goes across different cultures. Again, mostly Western cultures. Specifically, in America, we call them, or they have been called, spook lights, ghost lights, or orbs, which is a big one.
Yep.
In British folklore, they're called jack-o'-lanterns.
All right.
Friars' lanterns are hinky punk.
Hinky punk.
Hinky punk, which is the name of the next show we're going to create.
I like that.
Yeah.
Hinky punk.
There are regional variations, though, Welsh and so on. Yeah. In Scandinavian folklore, the will-o'-the-wisp is believed to be spirit of a dead person who has been denied entry into heaven, and that's a common theme we're going to see about these things.
So kind of like ghosts, or like they're like in a purgatory kind of thing?
And they stick around.
Yeah.
In Scotland, which is where I thought this all kind of came from, which brought me down this road, because of the TV show that I mentioned on here before, Outlander.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's about they call it the will-o'-the-wisps. And it's the thing that transfers her between time. I don't know.
Oh.
That's what they say in the show.
Right.
So I thought it was a Scottish thing. Apparently it's,
What was that show about? Like this goes back with, a woman goes back in time with like a syringe or something.
Eventually she goes back and forth and she gets hijacked back in time. Like she does something stupid at these stones. Or she like goes and falls asleep or something and gets transported through time because she has like a special person. Like apparently it's like a bloodline thing.
Okay.
And so she gets transported to whenever Scotland was rising up against England. Mm-hmm. And she, from what I remember, she falls in love with this guy. And she's a doctor apparently.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
She falls in love with the guy and is like in part of the war and like this British officers are going after them and like all this stuff happens. Basically, then she figures out that she can actually travel forward back through time and she can't get back to the stones to go back to the future.
Okay.
She eventually figures out she can, apparently, because someone tells her about the will-o'-the-wisp. And she goes back and forth into time. She gets pregnant though, goes forward in time, has the baby in the future.
Okay.
And she just shows up and her husband's like, "Where the hell have you been?" And he's like, "Now you're pregnant." And like he's like, "We looked everywhere for you, blah, blah, blah." It was years, go by or something like that. So she's pregnant now, or it may have been shorter time.
But she has a husband in the future?
In the future, in her time, present time, she has a husband.
Okay.
And then she gives birth to a baby who's not his.
Ooh, spicy.
And it's very well understood that it's like a big thing. And then eventually he dies, and then she goes back in the past to this other guy, back to that guy, who all of a sudden, after he like survives the terrible war with England, he is in America. Yeah, he like jumps around and he ends up in America. And then when she comes back, she brings a syringe with her doctor bag, and she does injections to help people. And then someone breaks that.
What was it though? What were we saying? It was like penicillin?
Yeah, it's like she's like, "Oh, we can grow penicillin and stuff." Okay. She basically brings us, and then her daughter comes forward, realizing she can transport through time.
Jeez.
And finds her dad to meet her dad. And she shows up.
How long was this show on for?
It's still on. It's still going. It hadn't had a new season in a couple of years because they had like the pandemic or something. Mm-hmm. I think it's on like 6th season or 5th season. Oh, it's a bunch of books. It's a whole series of books.
Okay. All right.
A Scottish writer. Yeah. I mean, it's not too bad. It's very, very violent and crazy the first couple of seasons. Like, no kid should watch this. Like, the purpose of the first 3 seasons is the British guy that's the enemy. Mm. He's basically trying to sleep with the guy.
Oh, okay.
It's like very like, what the hell? It's crazy. It's very violent. And you're like, wow, must suck to live back in that time. It's bad. People are always dying and kids are getting knocked out. Like, it's just crazy. Right. Oh, then she's like thought of as a witch because she basically has that thing, and then she like can travel through time, and so she can't. It's crazy. And, one cool season they did was this one lady who she gets tied up with it. They're gonna be burned as a witch, and the one lady is like, "Oh no, I'm the witch," and then she's like, lets her take the fall for it basically, and they supposedly kill her. But then she finds her again a couple years later, and she's living in like the Caribbean, and she's like this lady of the what's that story about how this lady likes to drain the blood and like take baths in it or something? That legend,
like a succubus,
I guess. Yeah, but she's like from the future, or from the past, but she travels to the future. Like she's able to travel too, so that's why she thinks she's a witch. Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway,
what's going on?
It's a weird show, very long, because they're hour episodes, Showtime, whatever it is. Yeah. Anyway, what I said was, we're going to Scotland. Boom. Okay. So the will-o-wisps, sometimes depicted as mischievous spirits like fairies or ghosts of the dead. Okay, they lead travelers off the beaten path, especially near bogs and marshes. That's a theme that keeps coming up.
Like sirens.
They lead. Mermaid sirens. The bog sirens.
Bog sirens.
In Germany, the name Ehrlich, which I mentioned before, can't pronounce it, translates to wandering light or deceiving light, is believed in mischievous spirits of nature.
Are they supposed to be like luring people to their deaths kind of thing, or just like messing with them?
I guess that we'll see. The theory is like, or the idea behind it is like, they are mischievous and are trying to get people off of the path that they're on to like, basically it's like a signal of like, someone's on a bright path. You know, what's that called?
Like, what do you think about like bright path? Like
allegory.
Okay.
Like, don't get pulled off the path by shiny lights off the distance.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a few that are not Western European, which is kind of weird in the case of like, when I say Western European, I'm like the West, and there's a few from the East, which is Thailand has the Naga fireballs.
Okay.
Which along the Mekong River in Thailand during the end of the Buddhist Lent, mysterious fireballs rise from the water.
Ooh.
Locals believe these are the breath of Naga, serpent-like mythical creatures, or the spirits of deceased ancestors. Scientists attribute them to natural gas emissions, but the legend persists. Okay. In Japan, Japanese folklore calls them Haidodama, which are similarly ghostly lights associated with the souls of the deceased. Again, people were seeing lights and they're making some kind of folklore around it, right? In Australia, there's Australian Aboriginal legends mentioning min-min lights, which resemble will-o-the-wisps. They appear in remote outback areas, leading travelers astray. I don't know if there's a lot of bogs in Australia like that. Like, I don't know. So that when we go into like theories of like what these are, that might come back up.
Okay.
So stick around. We're going to jump back to the Americas, specifically in Argentina and Uruguay. The will-o-the-wisp phenomenon is known as luz mala, or evil light, and is one of the most important myths in both countries' folklore. This phenomenon is quite feared and is mostly seen as in rural areas. It consists of extremely shiny balls of light floating a few inches from the ground.
Okay.
In Mexico, folklore explains the phenomenon to be witches who transformed into these lights. Another explanation refers to the lights as indicators to places where gold or hidden treasure is buried and can be found only with the help of the children of the light.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep, that's a cool one. In this one, they're called luces de dinero, money lights, or luces del tesoro, which is treasure lights.
I get down with that.
So people start following them, thinking they're going to treasure, and then they die or something.
Ooh,
or get lost.
Yeah.
I think my favorite one, though, is... I think it's this. There's two more. There's one from Portugal, from Brazil, but it's in Portuguese.
Yeah.
And then one from Colombia. I can't remember which one I like the most.
Do them both.
I'm going to tell you both, but I'm going to say one I like the most. Okay. No, I think it's the one from Colombia. Okay, so the Tateia is a Brazilian equivalent of the will-o-the-wisp. It is different pronunciations in different regions of the country, however. The name comes from the old Tupi language, which means fiery spirit. fiery serpents. Sorry. Its great fiery eyes leaves it. Oh, this actually is the one I like. Sorry. Oh. Its great fiery eyes leave it almost blind by the day. By the night, it can see everything. According to legend, the Tate was a big serpent which survived a great deluge.
Good word.
It is seen as a cave anaconda, which left its cave after the deluge and in the dark went through the fields preying on animals and corpses, eating exclusively its favorite morsel, the eyes. The collected light from the eaten eyes gave Tate its fiery gaze, not really a dragon, but rather a giant snake
anaconda.
With fiery eyes.
Oof.
Now, this is Colombia, and this is another good one. Actually, I kind of bounce between these. Depending on the time of day you ask me, I'm going to tell you I like Colombia or Brazil better. So in Colombia, the will-o-the-wisp of Colombia, which is La Bolfuego, okay, which I'm going to call will-o-the-wisp, is a ghost of a vicious grandmother who raised her grandchildren without morals, and as such, they became thieves and murderers.
Jeez.
In the afterlife, the grandmother's spirit was condemned to wander the world surrounded by flames. Okay, that's a pretty good one.
That's harsh.
Yeah. Nana's messing everything up and down there in Colombia. Yeah.
Gam.
So, why do they call it the will-o-the-wisp? So, I mentioned Will. Who's Will?
Will.
What the hell is Will doing? There's also, the alternative to this is Stingy Jack.
Stingy Jack?
Yeah. So, there's Will and Stingy Jack. Okay.
You got Jack.
Skellington?
Yeah. He's kind of like a jack-o'-lantern.
Skeleton.
I know, but like head.
He's a skeleton.
Yeah, I know. It's like
I don't know what movie you were watching.
Kind of combining the two.
Yeah. Jack. Pumpkinhead skeleton.
Pumpkinhead.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Did you wear a jack-o'-lantern at the beginning of that movie?
I mean, he's the pumpkin king.
Yes.
There you go. Okay. So we'll go back and say, I'm sorry.
It's a stretch.
You're right.
Stretch. No.
You're right.
No.
Yeah. Oogie boogie. Okay. So we're gonna go back. We're gonna talk about why we call it the will-o-the-wisp, because we talked about what it technically means is a wisp is a bundle of sticks that is on fire. Mm-hmm. Okay, like a torch.
Yeah.
The origin myth of the will-o-the-wisp recorded in stories from Ireland, Scotland, England, Wales, Appalachia, and Newfoundland. Okay, that's where the original tales come from. Generally, goes back to the story of the punishment of Will.
Punishment of Will.
Will. He's He's punished.
Yeah. What did Will do?
So the legend comes from various interpretations across different cultures, but the common themes involves a character named Will. So the punishment of Will comes from the idea of this person named Will, or sometimes Jack, jack-o'-lantern, will-o-the-wisp, blah, blah, blah. See where I'm going with this?
Yep.
So according to the version of the legend that contains Will was a blacksmith. Fire. Yeah.
Right.
Who led a sinful life and was denied entry into heaven after his death. As punishment, he was condemned to wander the earth forever carrying a flickering torch or light. However, his role was to mislead travelers, leading them astray in marshy areas. So he didn't use his afterlife very well.
No, I was going to say, like, he's not going to get any bonus points for getting up.
So he's probably trying to, supposed to be, technically, he's supposed to be leading them to the correct place, but he was, so he's causing problems.
Being a D-bag.
So he's being mischievous.
Come on.
Some legends even suggest that he was banished by the devil himself. Essentially, Will became a restless spirit, forever bound to the earthly realm. One version from Shropshire is recounted by Briggs, a dictionary of fairies, and refers to Will Smith.
Welcome to Earth.
He's just smacking people with the flame. Okay. He's a wicked blacksmith, given a second chance by St. Peter at the gates of heaven, but leads such a bad life that he ends up being doomed to wander the earth. The devil provides him with a single burning coal with which to warm himself. He then uses an empty gourd to carry that coal.
There you go, jack-o'-lantern.
Wait, but we're going to talk about Stingy Jack.
Okay. So the devil didn't even want him.
Devil didn't want him. Very nice. Devil didn't want him. What's that movie? Devil's Rejects?
Oh, yeah. I never
Zombie. They were in their Dragula driving around.
Yeah, that and House of 1,000 Corpses. I can't watch those.
No, they're terrifying.
Too graphic.
Yeah, scary. Couldn't sleep for a month. Stingy Jack. He made a third one, didn't he? Or he made something else.
I don't know. He did like the Halloween movies, which were pretty rough to watch too.
Yeah, it's all right. Stingy Jack. In Irish folklore, a character named Stingy Jack tricked the devil and was neither allowed in heaven nor hell. So this Stingy Jack, the jack-o'-lantern, wasn't allowed either. He tricked the devil.
Ooh.
According to Leslie O'Malley, in 2015, her work called History of Jack-o'-lantern and the Legend of Stingy Jack, the story goes, when the devil comes to collect his soul, Stingy Jack tricks him into turning into a coin so he can pay for his one last drink. This has to be British, right?
Yeah.
When the devil obliges, Jack places him in his pocket next to his crucifix, preventing him from returning to his original form. Tricky Jack. Yep. In exchange for his freedom, the devil grants Jack 10 more years of life. When the term expires, however, the devil comes back to collect his due. But Jack tricks him again, making him climb a tree and then carving a cross underneath.
Checkmate.
Gotcha, Jack. Wait, no, gotcha, devil. I mean, that kind of really makes the devil look like a punk.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Back to Jack. In exchange for removing the cross, the devil forgives Jack's debt. However, no one as bad as Jack would ever be allowed into heaven. So Jack is forced to, upon his death, travel to hell and ask for a place there. The devil denies his entrance, and revenge grants him an ember from the fires of hell to light his way through the twilight world to which souls are forever condemned. Jack places the fire, the ember, in a carved out turnip to serve as a lantern.
Okay.
Yeah. Jack owes lantern.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. The devil gave Stingy Jack a single ember placed in the turnip, which is where we get the name jack-o'-lantern, as I just said.
Yeah.
Okay.
I prefer it better if it's called like Stingy
lantern.
Yeah.
The glowing turnip guided Stingy Jack's forever roaming soul, akin to the will-o-the-wisp. So always causing problems for people.
So this is a story throughout.
That was kind of the story that a lot of historians point to as like the original story of will-o-the-wisp.
But this is kind of like throughout England, Scotland, and Appalachia?
Newfoundland. Right. These stories date back. They all kind of come from that area.
Okay.
Like, and as we said, Will Smith was just slapping people as he went through. So modern examples of the legend, which is more in the West, specifically in America, in these examples. Some of them are in Europe. There was the Bridgewater Triangle. Okay.
Bridgewater Triangle.
Yeah, this is a swampy area of Massachusetts known as the Bridgewater Triangle, has folklore of ghostly orbs of light, and there have been modern observations of these ghostly lights in the area as well. Okay. The Chehoke light is reported a ghost light in King William County, Virginia, near West Point. The light has been frequently sighted along a stretch of Virginia State Route 632, where Mount Olive Cohoke Road crosses the Norfolk Southern Railway. The light typically appears at a distance of several hundred yards from the railroad, approaching noiselessly while increasing its brightness. Its presence attracted a large number of spectators from around the world and through the state in the 60s and 70s, hoping to catch a glimpse of the light. The Brown Mountain Lights are reported ghost lights near Brown Mountain in North Carolina, which we got to move to. Yeah. The earliest published reference to strange lights there comes from 1910, at about the same time electric lighting was becoming widespread in the area.
Okay.
Weird.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time,
you're like, oh, lights.
Yeah. This one comes from Saskatchewan, Canada, called the St. Louis Light. In Canada, in this Canadian province, the town of St. Louis, there is a legend of a ghostly light that appears along a railroad track. Again, going to the railroad tracks.
Yep.
Locals believe the spirit of the railroad worker who died tragically while working on the tracks. The light is said to move erratically, leading travelers astray. Again, it's all kind of fit a bill, right?
Yeah.
The Spook Light in Missouri and Oklahoma of the United States. The spook light is known as the Hornet spook light. It is a famous phenomenon in the Ozark region. It appears as a glowing ball of light that hovers above the ground, often near a cemetery. Some attribute reflections by car headlights, while the others consider it a paranormal occurrence. So a lot of stuff they talk about like, oh, it's for car lights, which they said for like the Marfa lights, which is our next one. But then like, well, we saw these lights before cars were a thing.
Yeah. Right.
So Marfa, Texas, the Marfa lights, which is actually kind of one of the famous ones.
Okay.
There's like shows on this and stuff.
Marfa,
Texas, the home of the Marfa lights, which have puzzled observers for decades. Mysterious lights appear in the desert, resembling distant lanterns or car headlights. Science suggests that there might be a cause of atmospheric conditions, but the allure of the unexplained nature persists. So I remember watching documentaries about this where they're like, look, these car lights, if there's enough moisture in the air or something, the cars are driving down the highway over here and it reflects and makes people, if you're at the right angle, you can see these floating orbs.
Okay. Why?
Right. It's very specific.
Yeah, right.
Because they don't happen all the time.
No.
So people are going out there watching things and be like, oh, look. Oh, no. It's like it happens kind of sometimes. Doesn't happen every night.
Yeah.
Conditions have to be perfect. So maybe there's something there. And the last one in America we're going to talk about is the Paulding Light, Michigan, USA. The Michigan Upper Peninsula near Paulding, there's a legend of a light that appears along a deserted road. Some say it is the ghost of a railroad brakeman who died there, while others believe it is a natural phenomenon.
So again,
railroads.
Railroad guy.
When we go into theories, I want to ask the question again why we think this will happen on railroads. We're going to move back to Europe, modern Europe, tellings of this will-o-the-wisp legend. The Hesteland Light in Norway. It's in the Hesteland Valley of Norway. Strange lights have been reported since the 1940s. These lights move across the sky, changing colors and shapes. Researchers have studied them extensively, but the origin remains elusive.
Okay.
And the last one we're going to go over, modern legends of the will-o-the-wisp, is the Longdendale lights. Mystery lights that have been observed on the upper end of the Longdendale Valley and surrounding areas in Peak District in northern England. Reports of the lights date back centuries and have been known as the Devil's Bonfires. It's pretty cool.
Devil's Bonfires?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Okay.
All right.
So what are you thinking now? Before I go into theories, what are you thinking about this old Wispies? What's Will and Stingy Jack in up to?
They're very mischievous. It reminds me of, remember we were doing that Matilda Rooney one, that spontaneous combustion thing?
Ball lightning.
Yeah, ball lightning. Kind of reminds me of that.
But it happens so frequently, it's kind of hard to think.
Right, yeah, like ball lightning doesn't seem like it'd be, if it's a real thing, it doesn't seem like it'd be that frequent of a thing to happen.
Right. Apparently they're happening quite often because they're well documented. Okay. That's all you got? You think that's it?
I don't think it's ball lightning.
You know where you're going?
Maybe remind me of that. Yeah, that's all I got right now. Well,
if someone says, what are these right now, what would you say? It's like that episode or that from that movie Swordfish when the guy's trying to program or something with John Travolta.
Mm-hmm. Hugh Jackman.
I don't know. Something's happened. But anyway, he says, you got to fix this. What do you think it is?
Oh, yeah, he puts like a gun to his head.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's swamp gas. No, I don't know.
It's one of the theories.
Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, that'd be.
If I said that George Washington looked into this.
Ooh, did he?
Yeah.
The George Washington?
I think.
All right.
Probably.
I'm curious to see for what reason it keeps coming back to a railroad worker.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of interesting.
I think the other thing we got to consider with that, though, is the location of railroads.
Mm.
Maybe because they're deserted.
Yeah.
Or like they're in areas that are not really heavily populated in some cases.
Yeah.
That they're seeing them. I guess it's not really a good way to explain it because they're seeing them in places that aren't heavily populated or more rural areas. And so happens there's railroad tracks there.
Sure.
Because there's more railroad tracks in cities than there are rural.
Yeah. But they want to explain bouncing lights.
Right. Unless there's a train really far away, but then you probably hear it.
Right.
Yeah. Like when we were taking that walk on those tracks.
I think you'd hear it before you see it.
Yeah, you'd feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's go into some theories.
So sorry, with the dates of these, would that been around the time that like railroads were like first a thing?
So 1400s was the first recorded thing, but there was stories before then apparently, more like general folklore of lights, which is why when people say it's cars, it's kind of like, well,
like modern technology, it's like a modern technology thing. People are just like, I'm not used to seeing this. Like,
right.
Yeah. You say if you're walking down some train tracks, not used to like, obviously you probably knew what a train was, but like not used to like the rumble of the train tracks, not used to like the sound, maybe kind of like you see the lights kind of disorienting.
I mean, especially when you look at like, there's that atmospheric phenomenon that like it only happens during the day and hot days too. When you're like, there's like kind of a separation between two things. When you look off in the distance, if it's a hot, hot ground where we're some way distort the vision.
Like that haze or like,
and it makes things look like they're floating. But that's like this is during the night,
right?
Okay, so I'm gonna go over some theories. The idea of the will-o-the-wisp phenomenon being caused by natural gases can be found as early as 1596, as mentioned in the works of Ludwig Lavalier. So early beliefs in what causes these have kind of a lot of different things. One is some attribute it to a phenomenon of bioluminescence or glowing insects, fireflies.
Yeah.
But there's only a few in some of these cases. Like it's not like there's a bunch of like, oh my god, there's a bunch like. But fireflies are like very specific. If they're down way far away, they're going to be close to you. I would think at some point.
Yeah.
So if you're seeing this, you're like, I know what a firefly is.
Right. Because like one, they're small.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know why, but I'm picturing these things are bigger orbs of light.
Right.
So is that close enough to you be that big? You'd be like, oh, it's a fucking bug.
Yeah.
That big in your like vision, it means it's like right in your face. Like clearly that's a bug flying around. Yeah.
Or unless it's like a lot of like fireflies that get together in a big ball, kind of like that ball of spiders they show on like YouTube, and like they're just like messing with people.
Yeah.
Maybe that's like how they procreate. Big ball of lightning bugs.
they just
glow.
Their own little
like,
disco.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
I would think that's how it happens. I don't know how bugs mate.
I haven't really seen fireflies much lately.
Oh, I have. I got kids that go out and catch them. Yeah. They're cool.
Yeah. I think
a lot of baby ones. I see a lot of baby ones around, especially this time of year.
All right.
They're starting to come out.
That's good. I was worried that they're like
done. Oh no, they're around.
Okay.
You just gotta go out and look for them.
All right.
And they're not out like all night too.
No, I know.
They're only out like twilight. Not the book series. Anyway, people equate the other luminous occurrences as such as ball lightning or electricity produced by tectonic activity.
Okay.
Those are kind of the basic ones that come up, but we're going to go into more details now. So there's a theory and that was kind of posed or kind of presented in the 18th century by Alessandro Volta, which he believed the will-o-the-wisp resulted from spontaneous combustion of methane.
All right.
Which maybe that's how Matilda died.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a hole in the floor that
No.
The idea that natural electricity...
Oh, there was a hole in the floor.
Oh.
Yeah, remember that's
methane came up through the hole.
Maybe.
The idea was that natural electrical phenomena, like lightning, interacting with marsh gas, methane, caused these ghostly lights. But why would they be dancing?
Yeah.
And that kind of goes
with
like...
It sounds kind of like pseudoscience kind of thing. Like, I also hear like swamp gas is like, people are saying swamp gas. Like the way the moon's reflecting off swamp gas, it makes people think that UFOs is like, is that even like really a thing though? Like swamp gas?
Isn't that something from like Project Blue Book they used as like a way to mess with people?
Was it?
I don't know. I can't remember. We'll have to go over that someday. But swamp gas is a lot of this.
Okay.
I think it's like you have to, like, again, we went over this before. Scientists have to have answers because they're like, hey, answer this. And you're like, I'm a scientist. I don't want to have a bad name, so I'm going to at least give them some answer.
Sure.
But I'm going to say, like, there's a 1% chance it's swamp gas.
Yeah.
And there people are just going to run with it.
Yeah, I've always heard that as being a thing. But like, is that swamp gas actual, not like a thing going on?
Well, and we're going to go into some of that. But there is a really interesting movie, a couple of documentaries, and by Brian Dunning from Skeptoid. He talks about, it's called Science Friction is one of them I watched, where it's like the way these shows take scientists, like modern documentaries and stuff, and they take them and they're like, they say one thing and then they cut it,
Oh, yeah.
Like the way they cut things. And scientists are like, hey, man, I didn't say that.
Remember, like that's a big thing with the History Channel now. Like they don't do much history stuff anymore because it's a lot of like Pawn Stars and crap like that. But I remember there was a time like academic people are just like, they're not saying, they're cutting it to like fit their own agenda.
Right. They ask specific questions.
Yeah, they're taking out of context. It's just context.
Anyway. So we're going to go over, this next theory is on natural gas and bog environments. So will-o-the-wisp typically occur above stagnant water in marshes or bogs.
That was the case in The Witcher, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's weird how a video game did that. No, yeah, I think that because Western Europe has, especially England, has boggy areas, peat bogs and stuff, that makes a lot of sense. Unlike oceans and lakes, bog water lacks oxygen, provides an ideal environment for bacteria to thrive. And they have some words for them called anaerobic, I think, bacteria. And
aerobic?
It's not like the old ladies doing swimming and stuff in the water. It's
calisthenics. Anaerobic,
I think is how you say that, bacteria to thrive. Many of these microorganisms belong to a group called methogens.
Okay.
Methogens break down dead plant material, producing methane gas as a byproduct. So bogs and swamps,
all right,
a lot of that's happening.
Interesting.
When methane forms in an anaerobic environment, it can trapped underwater and be released when disturbed. Something's disturbing the water, methane gas is coming up.
Okay.
That's number one.
So what would be disturbing the water though? Like
an animal,
people,
wind.
Yeah.
It could be anything.
Aliens.
Yeah. They're dropping them. They're like dropping bricks into them, like mess with people. Whoa, look at that one.
Look at that.
Like they got like cherry bombs or whatever. M80s. The flammable phenomenon, as this goes into this idea of methogens produce methane. The bogs become filled with a highly flammable gas over time. If you've ever walked through such an environment, you might have noticed small bubbles rising to the surface as you moved through the water. So we should go through bogs. I'd be like, yeah.
We should go to a bog. I want to test this out.
Is there any bogs around here? Well, we won't go over that. But
I
don't really know of any bogs.
Yeah,
I don't really hang out in bogs.
We're not bog people.
We're not bog men. I'm sure we can take a trip to a bog.
Sure.
Make an episode of the bog.
Out.
Yeah. We still have to test out the house thing with the solder children too.
We also have to do the what's the thing in Florida? The Florida
Man games. That was in February though. I have to look up that up.
Next year.
Yeah. Can always try next year. What they're saying with this theory, the flammable phenomenon theory, is that, which goes back to the methogens, the light that's associated with the will-o-the-wisp are likely caused by an oxidation of the gases, including methane, phosphine, and diphosphane, which is all produced in this bubbly mess of a bog when the methogens break stuff down.
Yeah.
And it builds up and over time, and that's what causes a buildup of that and a release. Somehow it's getting ignited. But it's called the flammable phenomenon, but what's causing the flame?
Right, yeah. I don't know much about science, but I do know that the bogs, though, it's a big thing in England. Actually, I think it's more Scotland, where like they found bodies that like are perfectly preserved underneath the bogs.
Yeah,
probably because there is no oxygen. Maybe
I would think so.
Is that why? Maybe
I would think. Yeah, nothing's to break it down.
Yeah,
like nothing can get in there, break it down. Wouldn't that be the opposite of this?
Yes.
Maybe methogens don't feed on humans. I don't know. But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I think it's more of they're just kind of locked away.
Yeah, it's like sealed.
in a moist environment.
Yeah,
moist environment.
People love that word.
Yeah. So this theory is the George Washington experiment. In 1783, George Washington engaged in what some considered the first American science experiment, because of course he did.
Because he's a great man.
Yeah, like
then never told a lie.
While waiting in Princeton, New Jersey, he debated with fellow revolutionary Thomas Paine and soldiers about these flames that they saw. So apparently these guys were seeing them too.
All right.
Okay. These will-o-the-wisp flames were already well documented at this time. The connection between these flames and modern Halloween pumpkins, jack-o'-lanterns, remains somewhat hazy, but the phenomenon itself is real. So he was basically what happened in 1783. George Washington, some soldiers and guys were hanging out in Princeton, New Jersey, probably waiting for the English to do, I don't know, probably in the war. And so they were trying to figure out, like, when they'd see them, they'd be like, hey, go out there and see what that is. Like, they were running out and checking to see what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
I think there's not well documented, weirdly enough, about his scientific method, but
yeah,
they were trying to figure out what was going on.
I mean, they were learned men.
Yeah.
They were, they had
and they were probably bored.
Education. Yeah, there's like, what's the deal with this?
Like, they probably seen those things, thinking it was. I would think it's probably more a military thing, being like, what is that light? Is that an enemy? And then so they were going out and trying to, like,
yeah.
They noticed that
on their way here.
When someone gets close, the idea is I think when someone gets close, it goes away, and they're trying to figure out, like, why does it go away?
Okay.
Whenever we get close, it stops.
That's cool.
There's a theory on that too.
All right.
So the big one is 1832 Major Louis Blesson. This is the big one. It's like, I don't know.
1832?
1832.
Yeah.
The apparent retreat of Ignis Fatuus, again, upon being approached, might be explained simply by the agitation of air by nearby objects, causing the gases to disperse. That explains why when you try to get close to this thing, it disappears.
Okay.
Because all the gases are being pushed away by people running in.
All right.
This was observed in a very detailed accounts of several close interactions with the will-o'-the-wisp, published earlier in 1832 by Major Louis Blesson after a series of experiments in various locations where it was known to occur. So, of note, his first encounter with will-o'-the-wisp in the marshland between a deep valley in the forest of Gorbitz, Newark, Germany. Blesson observed that the water was covered by an iridescent film, and during daytime, bubbles can be observed rising abundantly from certain areas. At night, Blesson observed bluish-purple flames in the same area and concluded that it was connected to the rising gas. He spent several days investigating the phenomenon, finding to his dismay that the flames retreated every time he tried to approach them. He eventually succeeded and was able to confirm that the lights were indeed caused by ignited gas. Again, based on his account in 1832. Blesson also observed differences in color and heat of the flames in different marshes. So he was going to different marshes doing the same kind of experiments. The will-o'-the-wisp in Malapane, Upper Poland, Upper Silesia, Poland, could be ignited and extinguished, but were unable to burn pieces of paper or wood shavings. Oh. So he was trying to light stuff on fire up whenever he was going to that one. At the same time, in another forest in Poland, he tried to create or replicate the will-o'-the-wisps by launching fireworks into the marsh from a distance.
Oh, fireworks. Okay.
Yeah, and so he was trying to, like, get those explosions like those bright. But again, it's not really well documented on, like, if it was like, this is definitely a flame, but it's not hot enough to burn stuff. So,
but it seems like they're always around. These will-o'-the-wisps are always around wet, moist, or like boggy, swampy areas, right? Apparently.
It's documented. Like, a lot of the lights and stuff the ones I went over, modern lights and stuff, are around areas that could be considered, like, in Arkansas, like that first one we talked about. I think it's just railroad tracks. It might be off in the distance. There's like a lake or bog or something, or a swamp, but like it's not well documented that it's exactly in that area. Like, because the people can't get to it to find out where it's happening.
That's what, like, you get instances in Japan too. Like,
Okay, my last theory goes back, it's just kind of a jumble of them, because over the years, scientists have considered various possibilities. Some thought it might be related to electromagnetic fields. Some have said that, again, it's related to the tectonic shifts and that can release static electricity, causing bogs to ignite.
All right.
But I think that would be more violent. I don't know. Others have said they're chemical reactions from organic decay, again from the methogens, and that are ignited by ball lightning in the area, static electricity from lightning.
Sure.
Or I read one that was about kind of on hot days when it's really sticky out,
Humid,
because it can cause like static electricity.
Sure, yeah.
And cause that to ignite those gases. I don't know.
The only thing with the ball lightning though is like there needs to be a thunderstorm in the area.
Right.
Like, no one mentions
that in these.
That's yeah.
And I think specifically in the Marfa lights, they don't happen if it's a stormy night.
Oh, they don't happen if it's a stormy night.
No, because it's like it has to be heat coming off the ground. From what I saw, it's caused by a hot summer day in the desert area of Texas, and then almost like a rainstorm, but like not quite raining, like a high humidity.
Okay.
Causes lights reflecting from the road, reflecting off of the moisture in the air. Something to do with the way it heats up from the ground cooling.
Like the pavement's probably cold, maybe, or like vice versa,
or hot. It's like the lights. I don't know. And I think in the show I watched, they like actually had a guy driving back and forth, and they said, I don't know. But in any case, it's been happening for so long, cars wouldn't have been caused for that. I'm not sure when the Marfa started.
Right.
But,
yeah. All right. Yeah.
Okay. So that is my last theory on the will-o-the-wisp. I thought going into this, it was going to be another mermaid situation. But
I mean, it definitely seemed like the aspect of the mischievous side of it.
The sirens.
The sirens, yeah.
But I think it's interesting that we find that it's finally America gets one. We get a folklore that's kind of going.
I never would have guessed there'd be people, in the Americas thinking there's will-o-the-wisps. I thought it was purely.
But in America, we see it as a extraterrestrial thing.
Yeah, right.
We attribute it to like aliens.
Yeah.
Not so much more and sometimes ghosts.
Well, yeah, but Europe has a richer history than we do, so they
think of
more folklore, legends and stuff like that. So as us, we're like, we don't have that rich of a history, so like, well, it's aliens,
right? So,
but they're similar things. From what it sounds like.
And what I really like about this is that it's in Europe, part of Europe. You have the mystical side of things. It's like attributed to like they kind of focus it on as like where their countries came from, or like in America, we don't have we have this science we have a science background, and people try to attribute it to like a modern science view, as opposed to like a witches and goblins type of view. Because there was one of the stories they called them. I thought it was something goblin. They called it was attributed to a goblin causing the problems, like a mischievous goblin carrying a torch.
This is in the U.S.
No, this is in Europe.
But they do. There's mention of the devil, which kind of makes sense. U.S. thing with the Puritans when they came over and stuff like that. But
well, a lot of the devil and stuff, mystical stuff, was in Europe,
right? But that was we brought
it over.
Stuff over, yeah.
But in like,
because he says common in like,
I guess Uruguay and in Argentina and Uruguay, apparently will-o-wisp phenomenon, the evil light they call it, is like a pretty big part of their country, like lore. It's like popular culture type of thing.
All right. Yeah, I thought this was totally just focused in Europe. But
right.
I think it's neat. That's not only the United States, but like South America and like Japan and
I
think it's
Thailand,
really
Australia. The Min lights in Australia, which they're Aboriginal legends from.
Oh, cool. All right.
Like those legends come from the Aboriginal people.
That's neat.
Of Australia. The Min lights. So they were seeing them well before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, long before.
Yeah. The grandma in Colombia that raised the murderers and stuff.
Bad job raising the grandkids.
Yeah.
Where were the parents? Why was she raising the kids?
She probably ate the parents or something. Fed them to the kids. Okay, so what do you think, unless you want me to go first, what do you think these are? What is your theory on this? What are they people seeing?
Like I said earlier, it definitely seems like they're always coming around an area of like humidity. There's some kind of like small body of water, whether it's a swamp or a bog.
Yeah, they're not seeing them in oceans or lakes.
Right. There's railroad tracks, but they could, that doesn't mean there's not a bog or a swamp nearby.
The orbs.
Yeah.
An American kind of view. I think it's interesting that where the jack-o'-lantern comes from, this part is associated with this, which we probably should do this episode at Halloween. Oh. Crap. Missed one. We'll just replay it in Halloween. We'll probably forget by then.
I don't know. I don't think it's the ball lightning thing.
I don't think that's just too violent. I think.
Yeah. People would mention that there's thunderstorm or something along those lines.
Do you ever hear about that place in in South America that's like a never-ending thunderstorm?
Mm-mm.
Every night it's like always thunder. It's always lightning.
Where's that at?
It's like the most violent light. It's like crazy.
Really?
It's in maybe Peru. The Catatumbo lightning.
Mm-mm. Never heard of that.
It's the Catatumbo River, Venezuela.
Yep.
Empties into the Lake Maracaibo. House of Thunder is the name of Catatumbo.
House of Thunder.
Yeah, it's a language
that's
very cool. Okay, so there's a mass storm of clouds at an altitude of more than 1 kilometer and occurs for 140 to 160 nights a year, 9 hours per day.
9 hours?
Yeah, and with lightning flashes from 16 to 40 times a minute. People
live in this area?
Yeah, it occurs over the lake, typically over a bog area formed where the Catatumbo River flows into the lake. The phenomenon sees the highest density of lightning in the world at 250 per kilometer squared.
That's insane.
In summers, the phenomenon may even occur as dry lightning without rainfall at all.
That's insane. And people live there. That's nuts, man.
Yeah.
Heat lightning is not an actual thing? It's just people seeing lightning in the distance.
It's because we're hot and we're like, there's all storm out there. It's just like way far away. Because sound doesn't travel that far.
I'd never heard of that place, and that's awesome. I couldn't live there.
I'd be so stressed out all the time.
You couldn't have pets?
No.
Oh, that's nuts.
Capital of lightning. 1.6 million times per year lightning strikes.
Jeez. I don't know what these people are seeing, man. I know that the George Washington thing, we have these states, we have this high, this large view of him and almost mythical,
yes,
for better or worse. But
I don't really.
I do think it's intriguing. People are like,
it was interesting that it's documented he was seeing it.
Yeah,
and it's was going around again because America gets folklore finally. So, what do you think?
Because I immediately just want to be like, oh, these people are just they're seeing it alone. Just like anytime you hear about a UFO thing, you think that they're rural people seeing this stuff. And
I mean, this is documented. You can watch these Marfolite stuff. You can watch them.
Then people are witnessing this stuff. It's important, the first president of ours, apparently thought this was a thing. So
scientists have looked into each one of these. There are research out there about this stuff. Well,
I don't know. What do you think, man?
So I think
I don't know. I don't think these are really will-o'-the-wisp. So we'll put it that way. I'm just saying, but I don't.
You don't think it's mystical? You think there's a scientific explanation for it?
I think that there needs to be, but a lot of this, again, a lot of this doesn't sound. It's scientific, but it doesn't sound
correct.
It doesn't sound correct.
It sounds like you think it's scientific, but you don't really think that the scientific explanations are real.
Yeah. But then, what are these people seeing then if it's not will-o'-the-wisp?
That's a great question. If we can answer that, we'd be 100 airs.
What do you think?
I think it's probably... See, it's so easy to say it's swamp gas. And or these again, these methogens.
Methogens, yeah.
That release of methane, which we know methane is super flammable.
Yeah, right.
And it's created in these bogs.
You said that guy tried it, right? The guy in Poland tried?
He said he was like, oh, look, I can...
The 1830, something like
yes.
that? Okay.
He's like, I can do it. I can create it. I can recreate it. But what if they're not all from bogs? Is there a lot of bogs around these places?
Maybe just like Bigfoot's out there messing with people.
He's shooting off fireworks. Yeah.
Or he just gathered up a bunch of lightning bugs and was like, hey, look at this.
He's smushing them in the balls and throwing them at people.
Throwing at people.
Like lightning bug battles.
Here. And he just disappears in the woods.
Yeah. Did you ever play like that?
The sneaky Sasquatch game?
What?
No, never mind. It's on like Apple Arcade. Sneaky Sasquatch game? Is that what you're about to ask me?
Snatchkosh.
Oshkosh, gosh.
No, I was gonna say, did you ever take a?
Oh, sorry.
Did you ever take a firefly and like smush them up and rub under your eyes? And
No,
stuff, like a weirdo?
I did it once in my hand, like smashed one, and then I immediately felt bad about it as a kid.
Come on, insects. Come on, I'll smush a bug all day long.
I can understand. I can understand like
bugs.
a lanternfly or like maybe a spider. Or like what?
Smush them.
But what's a firefly ever done? Are they bad?
Guilty by association. I hate bugs. I understand they're very important or whatever, bees. I'm not out there stepping on bees.
I understand they're important.
Bees, but I don't want any bugs. I'll murder bugs.
I'm
them.
sure I smashed them up and did weird stuff with them.
Yeah, I ate a bug like candy bar before. It's fine. Granola bar.
Yeah. I ate ants once. Like my sister
just dumped the whole bucket of them in your throat. Like, get on it, sit on them, pull his face open.
They were like chocolate covered ants, I think.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe cat. I don't know.
I mean, there's people that eat bugs all over the world.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're delicacies.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, if you get lost in the water, so you're gonna have to eat them.
I mean, look at me. Like, a lobster, sea bug.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Bottom feeders.
I will beat.
They taste good, but they're bugs.
No, I'm gonna beat a spider with a lobster. I hate seafood.
You do?
I don't like it. I like salmon. Shrimp's fine. Right. That's not really tasty. I don't like. Oh, I need some shrimp. I hate lobsters. I hate crab.
I like lobster. I like crab, but it's a lot of work, and I'm just like, I don't want to deal with that.
No, I hate them. Gross.
I gotta like snap this, crack that,
I'll
pull this,
throw it in the garbage.
Like, that was 10 minutes. I'll never get back, and I got a tiny morsel of meat.
Yeah, no. I'll throw that stuff in the fire. Again, maybe I'm the guy. I'm letting them live. I'm letting the oceans be filled with lobsters. I'm gonna eat that garbage. It's gross.
Sea bugs.
Yeah.
You ever see monkeys? Not ate them. Did you ever do that thing?
No.
Remember you get like the packets and like, oh, they're sea monkeys.
That seemed like a scam.
Oh yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah. What was it?
I don't know. I don't know what they actually are. Just like bugs.
Some guy put his boogers in a package and sold it to you. Some kids. That's back in the day whenever you would order something like off of Fox Kids. Like Bobby's World told me to buy these things.
Yeah.
But it would take like 6 to 8 weeks. You have to send a thing there 6 to 8 weeks later. You totally forgot you even did it.
And that was a huge disappointment when you got it.
You're like, this is poop garbage. And they wanted a money order and it was stupid. All right. So I don't know what they are. I think that's probably gas somehow being ignited. I don't know what's igniting it though. Static electricity? Is it happening whenever I think the most likely scenario is that at a point when there's a lot of methane being released in these bogs, which happens probably a lot, and there's a high static electricity type of thing with the moisture in the air.
Humidity, whatever, yeah.
And eventually, boom. Maybe. But they did say that some of these lights like bobble, like they're not just like igniting.
Right.
That's what my only concern would be. Why is it just hanging around?
Yeah.
It's supposed
lingering
to be
and like moving side to side, up and down.
And that's the blessing. The 1892, he said he can create them, but they're not sticking around like the ones that we have been talking about. They're just kind of exploding. Mm. He's able to explode the methane that's in the bog.
Right.
And it looks like it, but it's only happening instantly. So the Marfa lights are attributed to like cars on a distant highway because they stick around and they move. So the theory, I think the biggest response to the theory is like, why do they stick around then?
There's a bunch of people out there just lighting stuff.
But when you get close, it stops. So it's like
Yeah.
causing if it is methane, it makes sense that when you walk closer, it pushes the air.
Which pushes like that theory that like if it is something like a ghost or some, was it a Jack Stingy
Jack.
Stingy Jack, like it's something mischievous, like messing with people.
Yeah.
Like as soon as you get close, it
Disappears.
That's why I just think it's aliens with like some cool laser pointer just messing with us.
Yeah. That's probably the easiest thing though.
Yeah.
It's the easiest explanation. Makes the most sense. Or maybe, as I brought up before, why couldn't aliens be miniature aliens? Why couldn't they just be like pocket sized? And so that's those guys. That's actually those little fire things of them just flying around, checking stuff out.
Yeah. And then they got too close, and they're like, run away.
Did you ever see a movie? It's a kids' movie. You ever seen? It's on like Netflix. It's called like something bugs.
Oh, okay.
It's about like, oh crap.
Yes,
anyway, it's about the world of like fairies and the idea that like fairies are real, but because they're so small, the time as a fairy goes faster. So it looks like they're flying, but actually they're going normal speed to them, but it makes it like super fast to us or something. There's a really interesting experiment, or like
Fern Gully.
No, it's not an experiment. I just said it's a very interesting experiment. It's not an experiment. It's a friggin' movie. The premise of the movie is that the reason why we can't see fairies is because they move too fast. In their time, because they're small, they're moving normal speed to them, but humans, they move so fast. The only way to see them is to be able to see things that move super fast, like with a
Is that
hyperspeed
whenever you see
camera.
like a giant in like a movie or a TV show? It looks like they're moving slow.
Yeah.
But like to them, we're probably moving really fast.
Right.
Kind of like that same thing.
Yeah.
No,
Like time is different. It's like that.
Is it relative?
It's relative to the size. I don't know if that's how time actually works though.
No, I don't know what you're talking about though. I don't know what this fairy show is.
We'll have to ask Albie Einstein next time we see him about time and giants.
Fairies.
Netflix movie about fairies. Ooh, no, not Winx Saga. Stupid. Okay. So we are done with this episode. I want to say thank you to Jordan for being here.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for that lovely journey we took.
I'm gonna record that just by itself. I'm gonna send it to you just so you can listen to that at night.
You fall asleep.
What's that called? Like when they're like
ASMR.
I'm gonna ASMR that junk. I'm gonna ASMR this. What the heck was the name of that stupid movie that I watched? Epic. That's the name of it. Epic. 2013 movie called Epic.
Okay.
That's what it's about. It is, yes. I think it's partially animated, partially human.
Partially human.
Okay, everybody. We will be back next week with some interesting stuff, probably. We want to thank everybody for being here. If you listened, if you watched, however you are getting this information. If you watched us, please go give us a subscribe or give us a like. If you're listening to us, please give us a follow on any podcast platform. If you're looking for links to any of that stuff, just go down and look in the notes. If you want to send us an email, find us on social media. All the links for those are in the notes. You can also just go to our website and links to all that stuff at mysteriousspals.com. That's mysteriospals.com. Jordan, thank you for being here.
Thanks,
I will
Chris.
see you next week. Same mysterious pal, same mysterious place, same mysterious time, and stay mysterious.
Stay mysterious, Chris.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Bye.